Hi everyone. So today I'm going to teach a technique called urge surfing. And this is something that I teach students for different reasons. And I just feel like it's super important. Maybe it's just for me because I'm realizing this is a technique that I need to implement a little bit more. As being stuck in a house, it's easy to get these different cravings and these different urges. And I'm learning for myself and my body that there's certain foods that just don't agree with me. But yet when you're in a home, it's like, sometimes I like cheese, but I just know that that's not something that really is the best for my chemistry right now. And so it's hard for me to get past that urge of cheese. It could be anything for anybody. It could be social media. It could be watching TV. It could be just doing nothing. I don't know. But we have these cravings, and some of them can be not that impactful. You know, it's not that big of a deal if you give up 15 minutes and you're on social media, or if I have a little bit of cheese and I feel a little bit bloated. Not the end of the world, right? But this can also be for like bigger things. Like if there's somebody facing some kind of an addiction, and this mindful activity can be super powerful. So it can be like life-changing in a way. And so I want to like put that reverence around it, but also it can be just something that we can utilize in day-to-day basis for something that we just want to change. And mindless eating sometimes can be that when you're stuck in a home and looking for just a little bit of a jolt. So what it is, it's a technique to help you get through the urge. You're surfing through it. So just like the wave, it starts kind of small and then you peak and you crest and then it ends up dissolving down. So that's it. Typically when we get an urge, our natural tendency is either to resist it, to fight it, which just gives more energy to it. It makes it bigger, and then it creates more resistance within us to this urge. Or we maybe distract ourselves, which also can create more problems with it. Other times we might give into it, and then we create a habit loop, right? Because then there's these endorphins that get released after you have this thing, because you've built up this desire for it, have it, feels good, you're going to want to turn towards it again. So it can be a vicious cycle, which is why addiction can come into play with it. So we want to be able to get through the urge without giving into the urge. And so an actual urge, like a craving, usually only lasts 30 seconds if we're not feeding it, if we're not resisting it, if we're not thinking about like how great it will be when we have this urge or when we have this item or activity. And so then it just becomes like this never-ending feedback loop that we end up getting ourselves into. And the only thing that can make it go away, we feel, is if we give into it, which then there might be feelings about, there might be some guilt or something that comes with it, and we just don't feel empowered. Well, this is something that we're able to see too, is the more that we can practice that regulation, that self-regulation, the stronger it gets. And so the more that we can move through, surf the wave instead of resisting the wave, then the stronger that muscle gets, and we're able to do that more and more often. And so what does that actually look like? It means when you are starting to feel the urge, a craving, we're not running away from it. We're focusing on it. We're bringing our full attention to it, and not in a way that's like evil or like we like pain. No, we're just focusing on it. So we're going to focus on where in my body where is this? So sometimes it just takes like a few rounds of breath to go from this external thought, whatever, because a lot of times we're distracted. We don't even realize we're doing it. Then we bring our attention and we're take a few rounds of breath. And then we focus, where in the body is this physical sensation? Is this urge coming from? Identifying that and notice just where in the body it's actually occurring. And then you can begin with that neutral mind, that curiosity, as if you're an explorer, you're a scientist, kind of trying to uncover what is this about. You can start asking yourself a series of questions. What does it feel like? Does it feel tight or does it feel loose? Does it have a temperature with it? Like, where exactly are these sensations located? What are the sensations' exact borders? Like, does it feel very like isolated in one area, or does it feel like kind of blurry, or not blurry, but like fuzzy? The edges are fuzzy, like they kind of dissipate into the body in different areas. And then do they feel different with each breath? Like, is it something that's pretty steady, or is it variable? And at first, exploring this way might feel weird because we're not used to doing that. And it might feel, you might even feel disconnected from feeling it. So it just tells us that we just need to practice it. And so once we can get into our body and feel the urge, then all of a sudden it's like it doesn't have that power over us. Because a lot of times the urge is a sense of like discomfort. It's that needs to have this thing in order to have it go away, in order for it to feel comfortable again. And so once we feel into that urge and really explore and see what it really is, then all of a sudden it takes the power away. You are able to see like, oh, it's a sensation in my body. It's not like this life or death situation. It's just something that I feel. And the more that we can like bring our focused awareness or concentration to it, it's almost like we become more powerful than it. We become the observer of it. We are not the urge, which often is what it feels like. We mesh ourselves with this urge. Once you become the observer of the urge, that's where the power is. Then all of a sudden it's like, something I've played with before, when I might be feeling like an intense emotional, like pain or something, is in like emotional pain. And I'm not necessarily recommending this, but maybe when you have an urge, like see if you can feel it. You can almost intensify the urge. Like, can you, all right, I see you, I can feel you. Let's see if I can make this urge stronger. And then all of a sudden you get to play with it a little bit, where you're like, oh my gosh, like I have more control over this urge than I ever really thought. Because once you understand, like you can actually like, okay, so I feel this in my body. Let's see if I can feel it even stronger. And then once you do that, then it's like, you really feel like empowered. You feel the power and you realize it's there. It's not outside of me. It's nothing happening to me. It's just this urge. And so then we can take these deep breaths and we can breathe into it, experience it. We move through it. We're on top of the wave. We're surfing it and we're exploring it and we're taking it all in. And then it can start to dissipate. We're able to, it just kind of diffuses out. So we don't need to give into it. It's like we've kind of mastered it in that moment. That doesn't mean that in another 5 minutes you won't be doing the same thing again. It just means like that moment you're able to work through it. You've taken the power over this urge. You've become very aware of it. You haven't run from it, because when we run from it, we like give it its power. It's like running away from a dog. It's like the dog has the power in that situation. And so we don't want to give the urge that power, because then it just like magnifies in our awareness. And so once we're able to really look it straight in the eyes and say, I'm not afraid of you, but I'm not mad at you. I'm not like, there's no resistance to it. You're just an urge. You're just a craving. And what else? Then you can almost see it for what it is. Like, well, why am I feeling this way? What's this about? What does my body really need? What do I really need in this moment? And sometimes it's just that act alone of doing the urge surfing is enough to have you move through it. Sometimes you might be aware of like, I don't know, I'm thirsty. I'm tired. I shouldn't even say I am, that's a whole other topic, but I feel tired. I feel thirsty. Those are the things that maybe our body's really saying to us. It's just that we've lost that connection in our distractibility to what we really need in that moment. And so then you might breathe. You might take like a minute worth of just focused, intentional breathing where you're releasing that craving fully. And then whether you are successful or not, whether you end up giving into the craving or not, the fact that you did this intentional activity or you attempted this intentional activity, praise yourself for it, because that's just going to help you stay motivated to do it again. Any little step, in the right direction. One of the videos we talked about arrow pointing up, like towards the direction of your goals, like if you're able to do that, that's a step in the right direction. And we need to praise ourselves for that. And so it doesn't always mean that like we are going to smash it right away. This is a practice. And so the more that we practice it, the stronger we get, the more that we're able to shape our behavior, the more that we're able to live in true alignment with the goals that we believe in our heart are the best for us, not the goals that other people are telling us that we need to have, but what feels right for us. And that's really what we want to have happen in all of this. So, okay, go surfing.